Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel. I am Samarth, and in this video we are going to learn something that a lot of people have been asking me about Firebase, and that is pagination. And we'll be learning this by using our two favorite technologies, Flutter and Firebase. So we'll be retrieving some data from Cloud Firestore, and we'll be retrieving that data page by page instead of loading all the data at once. So if you have that kind of application where you have a lot of documents inside your collections and you do not want to present all those documents to the user at once. Instead, you want to load those documents as the user progresses through your app. So in this very basic example that we are going to build, we'll be loading more documents from Cloud Firestore as the user scrolls through a list. So initially we'll load some 10 or 20 documents, and as the user scrolls and reaches towards the bottom of the list, we'll load the next set, and we'll keep on doing that until we have any documents left. So here I have a very basic Flutter application. It is configured with Firebase, and you can see that I have all the required files in place. I have the Google services.json file for Android, and I also have the Google service info.tlist file for iOS. So this application as of now is Firebase ready. So we'll take on from here. Also you can see that in our pubspec.yaml we have Cloud Firestore listed as a plugin. So everything is good. You can see that the application works on the iOS simulator. And before we start coding, let me show you what collection on Firebase are we going to deal with. So here is a simple collection called products, and inside this products collection we have a lot of products, and each product document has some information about some products. This is all randomly generated data, but each product contains a name, it contains a price, it contains a featured image, and it also contains a short description and a long description. So now that we know those keys, let's go ahead and retrieve some products and display those products in our list first, and then we'll write the code for pagination. So inside our my homepage state class, I'll create a new function called getProducts, and this will be an asynchronous function, and inside this function we'll use the Cloud Firestore plugin to get some documents from the products collection. So we'll have to create an instance of the Firestore class, and I'll set it equal to firestore.instance. Next, inside the getProducts function, we'll use firestore.collection. The name of the collection is products, and from here I'll use the function getDocuments. The getDocuments function will get all the documents from this collection, but we don't want that. We only want the first 10 or 20 documents to be retrieved inside the getProducts function. So first of all, I'll break down this query into two parts. I'll create an object of type query and call it queue, and on the queue object we can call the getDocuments function. So here we'll use a function called orderBy, which will be used to order all the products, and in this case let's just go ahead and order all the products by their name. Along with that, we'll use the limit method to limit the number of results. Here I'm going to limit the number of results to 10. You can increase this or decrease this according to your own requirements. Next, we are already calling the queue.getDocuments function, which will retrieve a query snapshot. So let's just go ahead and create a new list of type document snapshots and call it products and make it a blank list. And I'll also create a boolean variable called loading products, and by default I'll set it to false. Now when we get the products, we get a query snapshot. So we'll save the results inside the query snapshot object, and instead of using the promise, we are using the await keyword, which will directly return the query snapshot object, which we are storing inside our query snapshot object. Next, we can also set loading products to true, and after we are done with that, we can set loading products to false. The loading products variable will be used to display the loading message to the user while we are retrieving the data from Firestore. So we'll extract documents from the query snapshot object, which we can easily do using the documents property. We'll store the documents inside the products list. And finally, we'll set loading products to false. Let's initially set loading products to true. Now inside our body, we'll use a container, and in here, we'll use a ternary operator to display a message to the user that there are no products if the length of the products array or list is 0. Otherwise, we want to display a list view to the user. So we can simply do that using products.length, and if the length is 0, we will use the center widget, otherwise we'll use listview.builder. Inside the builder for this list view, we'll simply return a list item, and inside the center widget, we can return a text widget that says no products to display, or we can simply return a text widget that says no products to show. From the builder of our list view, we can simply return a list tile widget, and for the title, we can use products at index, where index is the actual index of the item in the list. Use the data property to access the JSON data, and from that we want to extract the value of the key with the name. So this will return the name of the product. And finally, we need to make a call, or we need to invoke the getProducts function. So we'll use the init state event for that, and we'll call the getProducts function from our init state function. And as you can see, we are still getting the message no products to show, and that's probably because we need to write loading products equals true and loading products equals false inside the setState function. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. And now we are getting this error, and okay, we need to pass in a text widget to the title widget. So we'll wrap this text, which contains the name of the product, inside the text widget. Let's save that, and now you can see that I get a list of 10 products which displays the name of the product for each item in the list. The last two items are still displaying error, and this is because we are not passing in an item count to the builder. So let's go ahead and do that. We can easily get the item count using the length of the products list. And now you can see that the errors go away. Before we go ahead and proceed with pagination, I'll use another ternary operator here, and I'll use loading products boolean to test if we are loading the products or we are done with it. If we are still loading the products, we'll display the loading message to the user, and if we are done with loading the products, then we'll display the UI that we have so far. So now you can see that I get a loading message while the products are being loaded from Firebase. So we have the basic application up and running. I'll also add the product image, and I'll use the leading property of the list style for that. So real quick, I'll pass in an image.network, and I'll put it inside a clip oval, because none of these images are showing up inside the circle avatar. So that's done. Now everything is good. Next we can go ahead and write the code to implement pagination. So let's go ahead and create a property called perPage, and this is the size of the page, or the number of documents that we want to retrieve every time we want to retrieve the next set of documents. So here let's just go ahead and set it to 20, and we'll pass in perPage instead of the static limit, which is 10. Next we'll create another function called getMoreProducts, and this will be the function that will be called every time we want to load the next set of products. So we'll copy all the code from the getProducts function and put it inside the getMoreProducts function. I'll make this function asynchronous as well, and I'll remove some of the code from here. So we don't need to set loading products to true or false because we do not want to display the loading message to the user while more products are being loaded. Also, when we are done with loading the next set of products, which are available inside query_snapshot.documents, instead of assigning them to the products array, this time we'll have to use the add_all function, which will append the newly retrieved data to the existing set of products. Now all we need to do is modify the actual query, which is stored inside the object queue. So let's go ahead and play around with it a little bit. We'll try different things and see what works and what doesn't work. The first thing that I'm sure is that we need to use a function called startAt or startAfter. The names of these functions clearly indicate the difference between the two. For now, we are going to use startAfter. The startAfter function takes in an array or list of values. So let's just go ahead and create an object of type document snapshot, call it last document, and when we are done with loading the products inside the getProduct function, let's assign the value to the last document, which will be the last object inside query_snapshot.documents list. And we'll pass in the last document inside the startAfter function. I'm not sure if this works or not, but let's just go ahead and try that out. Also, we'll update the value of last document inside the getMoreProducts function as well after we are done with retrieving the documents from Firestore. So the basic getMoreProducts function is done. Now we need to find a way to invoke the getMoreProducts function when the user scrolls the page and reaches towards the bottom of the page. And for that we can use a ScrollController. So we'll create a new object of type ScrollController and we'll pass in the ScrollController to our list view.builder widget. Now inside our initState function, we'll write a listener for this ScrollController that will listen for scrolling on this list. So whenever you will scroll the list, this listener that we are creating on the ScrollController will be called. So in here, we'll have to write some code to invoke the getMoreProducts function only when the user has reached towards the bottom of the page. For now, we are going to set the threshold value to 25%. When we are about to reach the bottom of the page and we are only as far as 25% from the bottom of the page, the next set of products will be loaded. So we'll need a few variables for that. The first one will be max scroll, which will be of the type double, and we can get the value of max scroll from ScrollController.position.maxScrollExtent. This gives us the maximum value that we can scroll up to. Secondly, we'll get the value of current scroll, which will give us the value of how far we have actually scrolled. And finally, we'll use a delta value, which will set equal to 25% of the total height of the page. Now, if the difference between maximum scroll and current scroll is greater than the delta value, then we want to go ahead and load the next set of products, because it means that the user is about to reach towards the bottom of the page. So in that case, we'll call getMoreProducts function. We'll also add a print statement inside the getMoreProducts function so we know that our code is working. So let's go ahead and test this out. And we are getting this error, and this is probably because we have missed initializing the value of ScrollController. So let's just go ahead and do that, and now you can see that the first 20 products are shown in the list. Let's open the console logs, and I'll also scroll the page towards the bottom. And you can see that as I scroll the page towards the bottom, first of all I get this log getMoreProducts called, which means that my code is working fine, but I also get this error invalid argument instance of document snapshot. So this is the error with the startAfter function. We cannot pass in an object of type document snapshot in the startAfter function. So let's go ahead and fix that. So instead of passing in last document, let's go ahead and try with last document.data. We can also pass in some key like name, but let's just go ahead and try with data first. So I'll refresh the application and I'll scroll. and you can see that the get more products function is called, but I'm also getting this error, range error, which means that new products are not being loaded from Firestore. And before we go ahead and write the correct argument for the start after function, we also need to find a way to prevent the get more products function from being called hundreds of times in the same fraction of second. So we'll have to use boolean variables for that. So I'll just go ahead and create a boolean variable called getting more products, and by default we'll set it to false. I'll also create another boolean variable called more products available, and I'll set it to true. The names of these variables are pretty clear, and getting more products variable will be set to true while we are getting the products using the get more products function, and more products available variable will be set to true if more products are available. If more products are not available, we'll set it to false. So inside the get more products function, if the length of query snapshot.documents array is less than the size of the page, it simply means that no more documents are available to be loaded. So we'll set more products available to false. The next thing we'll do is set the value of getting more products. So the first thing we'll do inside the function is set getting more products to true, and the last thing we'll do inside this function is set getting more products to false. And now we'll check if more products available is false, then we do not want to execute get more products function. So in that case, we'll just return. Similarly, if getting more products is true, then we are already in the middle of the last call that we made to Firebase. In that case, we want to return as well. So now that we have fixed these logical errors, let's get back to the start after function. So as of now, we are passing in last document dot data to the start after function within a list, but that's not working. So you can see that I'm already getting the message no more products, which means that according to our query, we are not getting any more products, which is false. We already have a lot of products in our collection. So let's go ahead and use last document dot data, and from this data, let's extract the value of the name key. So now if I save the file and hot reload the application, let me just go ahead and scroll a little bit, and you can see that the next set of products is loaded. So the actual argument that you need to pass in is the value of one of the keys inside your document. Since we are ordering all our products by name, and we are sure that all the documents have products with unique values for the name property, we are using the value of the name property inside a list in the start after function. If you happen to have products which have same names, along with passing the name, you can use another value that you can use to uniquely identify a product in your collection. So that's how you can implement pagination in your lists in Flutter, and that's how you can use Firebase to retrieve data in small sets of documents instead of loading all the documents from Cloud Firestore. So that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope to come up with more interesting videos, so keep sending me all your ideas and keep sharing your love and showing your support to the channel. Thanks for watching.